it got to the point where I was just like, so you can either decide that you're going to take a leap of faith and step out and do what God is telling you to do, or you're going to stick to your plan and stick to whatever it is that you want to do in your life, and you're going to die. Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Carciela, and my channel is all about improving your life, improving your lifestyle in sustainable and practical ways. So this video is going to be about quitting my job, and really just a follow-up video on the second video I think I posted on my channel. So my first video about this was really like, I think it was either right before or right after I decided to quit my job, and it was my full-time job, 9 to 5. And honestly, it seemed like the kind of job where you would want to stay at and really grow with the company and, build upon yourself and apply yourself and all that kind of stuff. It paid well, like it was safe, secure kind of job. But I was super, super unhappy. Like, and beyond unhappy, my health was deteriorating rapidly. I constantly was at the hospital, and the job I had, they actually paid for health benefits, which a lot of folks would probably say, girl, why you leave? But again, like when you're compromising every day, like your peace, your joy, your happiness, your well-being, you're going to wake up one day and you won't have a job to go to because you're too busy dealing with your sickness. You're too busy dealing with, the overwhelming depression that you're having to push through every single day, and that's what I was going through. I was having symptoms of severe depression. Of course, I was having issues with anxiety. I was having panic attacks. I was having heart palpitations. I even developed a mild case of eczema, which I've never in my life had, luckily, thankfully, I've never in my life had an issue with, my skin or scaliness or, blotches popping up out of nowhere, rashes, things like that. Things like that were happening, and I've never had those types of issues, thankfully. And it got to the point where I was just like, so you can either decide that you're going to take a leap of faith and step out and do what God is telling you to do, or you're going to stick to your plan and stick to whatever it is that you want to do in your life, and you're going to die. Whether it's dying to your spiritual self, whether it's, actually like making yourself sick enough to where that is a threat, it's going to be very difficult to live life, if there is a life to live, if you keep doing the same thing you've been doing, because you are sacrificing your mental and physical health at this point. In the hospital, literally things like I had to have surgery. Like, people don't even know I had surgery a couple years ago for a lump under my skin. And even at that time, I wasn't at the same job I was at. I recently left, but it was the same thing. Like, I was sacrificing my mental and emotional well-being. It was taking a toll on my physical health. It was, tampering with just me as a human being, like the job was. And I wasn't doing anything particularly that made me feel fulfilled at that time, at the time that I was going underneath for a surgery. And the doctors literally, like, I went to so many doctors about this lump, because it was a strange situation, and I can make a whole nother video about that, but it wasn't behaving like, the big C behaves. It was behaving like something else, and they really didn't know what it was. And of course, because they don't know what it is, I'm scared that it's that, but they didn't know. They were like, the only thing we can do is, a biopsy and hope for the best, see what it is, and hopefully it's nothing. But every time I went to the doctor, it was that kind of conversation. They never knew what was wrong. I don't know why you're having heart palpitations. I don't know why you have this lump under your skin. I don't know why your hair is falling out. I don't know why you have eczema. Like, there was never like, okay, like, improve in this area because you're deficient in this vitamin or whatever. I had blood work done. All of that was fine. They didn't find anything in there. So I was really like running around confused and really lost as to why I was having these problems. And then it dawned on me, like, at my most recent job that I left, this is going to keep happening because this is not coming from a place of, you're doing a thing like physically in life that is contributing to your body's demise. Like, you're not, for example, you're not smoking, so you're having, issues breathing. And I was having issues breathing, but it wasn't because I was smoking. I don't smoke. I was having issues breathing because of the anxiety that I was feeling, and the anxiety that I was feeling was coming from going into a place that I was not happy at. And let me also say that, if you work a job and you have a 9 to 5 and you love what you do and you don't feel that way, and you're watching this video and you're wondering if you will know, like, there will be like a spiritual unrest when you are somewhere that you don't belong. There will be something that wakes you up sometimes in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 5 a.m., and you can't shake it off. You can't go back to sleep. You can't, life won't let you relax because you're out of whack. You're out of alignment with what life is trying to bring to you. And that was where I was. So if you're not there, great. And it's beautiful if you have a job that you enjoy. And that's something that I definitely don't want to say, like, oh, just quit your job and follow your passions. I'm not really big on that per se. But I will say, if you're someone who is like me, who you have this nagging voice, this nagging feeling, this nagging intuitive knowing that you need to go down a different path, I would so encourage you to take that leap. Because the thing about it is, and this is something that I had to learn myself, is everything is working for you. You're in a situation that could potentially be dangerous. Your body might give you signals that, hey, this situation that you're going into is dangerous, and you might not know exactly why, because it might not seem like it's dangerous on the surface level, but then, you get out into the field and there's a lion out there. And you didn't know that, but your body knew that before you did, So, but that feeling was there to help you. That feeling was there to say to you, like, okay, where you're going is not where you belong. So when it comes to, for me and for anyone who's dealing with this same thing, who wants to leave their job and hasn't yet maybe, or has just left their job and they need a word of encouragement, it's going to work out for you, because that is where your spirit is leading you, and your spirit is not going to lead you astray. Your spirit can see things. God can see things before they happen in your life for you. God knows the end from the beginning. So yeah, like, it's going to work out, because you wouldn't feel that calling if it wasn't going to work out. Even if you have moments where maybe you took a chance or you took a risk and that risk didn't work out, more than likely you still have a sense of urgency and a sense of knowing that some kind of way it's going to work out. Maybe it's not going to work out in the way that you initially thought it would, but isn't that the beauty of God? Like, we don't know God's ways. We can only be obedient to what He's telling us to do. So it's really just about always being mindful of how you're perceiving things. But aside from that, going back to, why I left my job and what I'm doing now, it was really at the point where I was just so unwell physically at this point that I couldn't stay there. It was too taxing on my spirit. It was too taxing on my mindset. And I didn't have energy for things that I really enjoyed. I didn't have time or the energy to spend time with my family, friends, and to really invest in things that I truly cared about. But I will say, those of you that don't know me, I have a fashion background. I worked in retail, more of, corporate level type of retail. And I've had lots of jobs in the retail industry. So I have a huge love for fashion. And the first business that I started was a fashion brand. Now, this I did while I was working in retail. It was my escape from the stress of what I was doing. So for a long time, I felt the way that I felt at my most previous job. I felt that way for a very long time. But what kept me going and what kept those feelings kind of at bay was me focusing on my fashion brand, which I still hopefully one day will do and will really invest in, but it was something that was mine, and it was something that gave me a sense of fulfillment outside of work where I wasn't getting any fulfillment and I wasn't really, feeling like myself. It was that for me because it was something that I wanted to do from a little girl. Like when I was a child, I said I wanted to be a fashion designer. But some things that I learned while working as my own fashion brand owner and also working in retail, it is a very expensive industry, not only to be in, but it's a very expensive industry to build a brand in. Like it's a very expensive industry to keep yourself up in, and it's a very expensive industry to step into as an owner of a brand. You know, things like finding manufacturing, things like getting samples overseas, buying fabric, if you learn how to sew yourself, learning how to sew, learning, what tools you need, investing in those tools, investing in sewing machines, investing in all kinds of random things. Everything costs. Down to the thread and the kind of quality of thread you want costs astronomically more than a cheaper thread, in some cases. Depending on the kind of manufacturing you want, can cost astronomically more than cheaper manufacturing in many cases. If you want customization, if you want to do things from scratch, which a lot of manufacturers, again, a video for a whole other day, they, any kind of customization you do is technically like you're basically starting from scratch, because if you want the length of your pants to be an inch longer, that's a customization. They have to make a whole new design for that, so it was very expensive, and although I loved it and I loved what it became, it was something that it started to be a source of anxiety for me too, because I couldn't keep up with it. Like I couldn't keep up with the expenses. I couldn't keep up with, that nagging feeling of like, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not doing good enough. I'm not getting as far ahead as I would like to get, because, I'm looking at this brand that started whenever and they popped off, or I'm looking at this business that's not in fashion, but they popped off in 6 months or something. And I focused on my fashion brand, which was called Unruly, by the way. It's called Unruly. I focused on my fashion brand for a good 4 years, where I was really just learning. And looking back at the time, when I was in it, I probably wouldn't have said I was learning. I probably would have said, no, I'm doing the thing. And I was doing the thing, but I was mostly learning. I was mostly learning about manufacturing, learning, what kind of fabric I wanted, learning the differences between fabrics, learning about different websites and resources that I could use to help me in my journey, learning the cost of things, learning how to price things, learning about wholesale, learning about private label, learning about trade shows, like just learning. And it got to the point where Unruly became such a kind of a burden, and kind of it went from being my escape to basically being my child that was being bad. And it was stressing me out, and I got to a point where I just kind of was like, okay, I love fashion, but this isn't bringing me the sense of fulfillment that it once was, and that I'm looking for right now. Like what I wanted around the time that I was looking to leave my most previous job was, I wanted something that I was passionate about then and now. I wanted something that I was passionate about at that point. And at that time in my life, and God is definitely in the details. He works in very mysterious ways. But the health issues that I expressed that I was having at my most previous job, I had been having them for a while. Like while I was working in the fashion, working on my fashion brand, I was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I was having not so much the eczema and the rashes, but that was when I discovered the lump under my skin. That was around the time that I was starting to have numerous health issues, insomnia, just almost anything you could think of. I experienced it either at a lower level or at a high level around this time as well. And it got to the point where I was like, I want something that I can be passionate about now that isn't going to be so taxing on my health and well-being, something that is easy for me skill wise. Like it's something that, I can wake up and I can do it. Now, something that helped me during this time and during this realization that I wanted something easier for me to do as a person was like, okay, I have all of these years of experience in retail. I know how to sell. I know how to talk to people. I'm good at reading people. I'm good at recognizing if what I'm saying works or if it doesn't work. I have some experience because I've worked in retail, because I've worked in sales with marketing. I have an idea of a lot of these things, and I definitely have an idea of what it means to sell something, what it means to sell a product. So I'm like, okay, I know I can sell really well. And at that time, because I was having all those health problems, I became really passionate about wellness and well-being. And what that looked like for me was really investing in things that contributed to me living a better lifestyle. What I mean by better lifestyle is a lifestyle is a way you live. Like your lifestyle is how you go about your day. Day to day, this is what your life looks like. And for something to affect my lifestyle, it has to be practical. It has to be sustainable, meaning it has to be something that I can do easily, a choice that I can make easily every single day. And it might be a small choice, but it has a big impact. If I say every day I'm going to drink water as soon as I wake up, that's a small choice, but it makes a big impact. That gets your digestive system going. That gets your mind right. That gets your energy levels up immediately. That's a small thing that you can change in your life, and it's going to affect your entire lifestyle. You know what I mean? So that's what I was passionate about at that time. And I had made certain changes to improve my lifestyle. One of those things was cutting back on sugar. Now, I tried a number of different things around the time that I was having these health problems. Like when I discovered that lump under my skin, I didn't know what it was. The doctors didn't know what it was. At that time, my surgery wasn't scheduled for like several months or something. You know how that goes. So I was freaking out. Like I was scared. I was like, I'm going to do everything and anything to make it go away because I don't know what it is, but I know what I don't want it to be. So that was around the time that I started to really try cutting out sugar. I cut out gluten at one point. And gluten, I found it helped with I was having like chest pains and stuff. And I found that helped with that. I started to really dabble in fitness and going to the gym more. I really wasn't a fitness and gym kind of person, but that changed when I discovered that issue that I was having. I tried a number of different things, of course, drinking more water, of course, cutting out certain processed foods, cooking more whole foods, cutting out seed oils, only using olive or avocado oil. I want to sleep earlier. I learned about ashwagandha around this time, like to relieve stress rather than just letting it fester in my body, trying a number of different things, foods that might even help with, certain emotions that you have. I started getting really serious about my digestive health and eating more fiber and fruits that have, fiber, a high fiber content, and vegetables that, have a high fiber or a high level of certain minerals that I might be deficient in that might be causing this problem. I was trying everything. But the main thing that stuck with me was the sugar, because sugar is, even for me, probably for you too, a huge, huge, huge struggle for me to shake off, especially when it comes to like high stress. Like sugar is the go-to. Sugar is the thing that people go to when they want to, calm down, when they want to feel better. It's sugar. Around that time that I was trying out different things to improve my health, I discovered dark chocolate. Not discovered, but I ate it more, tried it out more, and dates. Fast forward to around, yeah, like October, November time, before I left my most recent job. And I was thinking about, what am I passionate about now that will, that's easy for me, that comes naturally for me, that I can turn into a product and that I can sell because I'm good at that. And what can I do now that will allow me to use the lessons I learned from Unruly that'll help me now? So I won't have to relearn those lessons because I've already learned them, and I can start over with this new thing, but I'm starting at a different level because I'm not learning, the basics of basic things. So from that, I was like, well, you've been really into your wellness and your health, and you've been really into cutting back on sugar. You've been really into improving your lifestyle. And that is where this whole new idea came from for lifestyle. I didn't have a name yet. The name didn't come until a little bit later. But the initial idea was like, I want to improve people's lifestyle, like by sustainable and practical choices that are easy to make, that you make them every day, and over time your lifestyle improves. That's what I want to do. And my way of doing it was through the sugar cravings, because that's what helped me. That's what helped me get mine under control. And that was like, it was easy. It was something that I was doing every day. I was eating dark chocolate and dates every single day. So I said to myself, let's turn this into a product. And now we are where we are now, where I have my own confectionery business. I generate thousands of dollars a month in revenue with that, which I can make a whole nother video about what that looks like, how I do that, what are some tips I have for generating more money if you have a small business. That could be a whole nother video. But yeah, I was like, I should turn this into a product. I think other people would like it. And I'm filling a gap in the market, because you go to grocery stores, you look at the candy aisle, you look at the treats aisle, you go to, different bakeries, and, all you see is all this loaded up sugary stuff, all you see is stuff that has seed oils in it. All you see is stuff that has bioengineered food ingredients in it. All you see are things that have astronomical levels of calories in it, things that contribute to you living a poor lifestyle. Basically, I aim to do the opposite. And I did develop this product from scratch. But again, it was easy for me because I was already doing it at a certain level before I turned it into a product. So that is one little tidbit I would give for you if you are someone who's looking to start a business and you want to know what you should do. Do what comes easy to you. Do what comes naturally. Do what comes as like no-brainer. You got it. I would say do something that comes easy to you, something that is a no-brainer, something that is natural, and figure out a way to make it some kind of different. It doesn't even have to be something that is super, super unique to the market, because I'm someone that's always believed that people don't want something that's so outlandish and different. They want something that's going to improve their life for the better. And it could already exist, but if you can make it a little bit better, then you've done it. Take whatever it is that you like to do and run with that. But yeah, so basically I decided to really get focused on Carb. That's the name of the brand. That's how you pronounce it, for those of you that are wondering. After I decided to really get focused on Carb, around that time, I was still at my job. I was still going to work, and I got to a point where I was praying all the time and I was asking God for signs. God was sending me plenty of signs to quit my job, but I was too scared to do it. And I don't know what happened, but there was just one week. It was just a bad week. Like, it was a bad week of emotions for me, just internally. I was going through a lot. I didn't have the energy to give away. Like, something that people don't know about retail is you have to have a lot of energy to give away all the time. People constantly need help and greeting, and you have to kind of always be at someone's beck and call. And I was not there this week. This week was rough. And I was sitting in the chair at work, and I was like, I'm going to put in my notice. I'm going to do it. And if anyone from the outside looking in saw me at that point, they would be like, nothing appears to be wrong. You know, nothing appears to be happening. But I was so unwell mentally, spiritually, and physically that I was like, you have to do this. Because another thing people might not realize is a lot of what it is that you're praying for, whether it be, you know, financial freedom or a relationship, marriage, whatever it is that you're praying for, whatever it is that you want to improve about your life personally, a lot of times that thing is tied to you being obedient in another area. And God really, when I was praying to him about, you know, should I quit my job? Should I quit my job? That was something that he told me, like, the things that you're praying to me for, the things that you want to happen in your life, this freedom that you are looking for to really, you know, achieve this level of fulfillment and purpose in your life, that is on the other side of you being obedient to what I'm telling you to do now. I've given you the idea. I've given you the resources. I've given you the time to make mistakes, because again, God is in the details. I believe he gave me unruly to make those mistakes and give me time to figure things out. But I've given you time to make those mistakes and to figure things out. You know what to do. You know enough of what to do right now to where you can do this. You can do this. You can make this shift and everything will be fine, because I'm calling you to do it. And I wouldn't call you to do something if I wasn't going to take care of you through it. So at that point, I was like, it's time. And I put in my notice, and I was terrified. I was really scared. But the thing that occurred after I put in my notice was a weight felt lifted off my shoulders. And even still, I feel a lifted weight off my shoulders. There's a lot of moments of uncertainty. There's a lot of moments of insecurity sometimes. But at the end of the day, I know God has me. I know that I'm doing something that is in alignment with my purpose. I know that I am moving in a direction that is going to benefit me in the foreseeable future. And I feel confident in that. Like, I feel an internal knowing of that. And I would just encourage anyone else out there who is, you know, looking to quit their job, who is looking for a word of encouragement if they have quit their job. God has you. You know, place your faith in a higher power and keep your perspective clear, meaning like always focus yourself on the best case scenario. Always focus yourself on the higher power. Always focus yourself on the fact that this is working for me. The thing I'm doing right now is working for me. And if it's not working for you, like out for you, it is working in for you, you know, and that's a whole nother thing in and of itself, you know. So I hope this is encouraging for someone. Again, thank you for watching my channel. I'm going to make another video going a little bit deeper into, you know, my spiritual journey and everything that's really changed for me around this time. But that's essentially why I started Carb, and that was what led to me going in the direction of creating chocolate treats. I know it's kind of interesting to go from doing fashion to doing chocolate, but hopefully that makes some more sense, and hopefully that resonates with someone out there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.